mystery drama, The Secret Life of Bobby Deland, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Elspeth Eric and stars Michael Tolan. It is sponsored in part by Contact, the 12-hour allergy capsule, and Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. I'll be back shortly with Act One. We said earlier that this story is an important one, not because our small hero is an important figure. A boy of 10? How much time has he had to achieve importance in our world? No, we call our story important because it is our attempt to explore the inner life of one small child. An attempt which we admit may be awkward and incomplete because we have grown up, and in growing up, grown stupid.
All right now, children, playtime's over. Everybody inside. Go with Miss Hamill and Mr. Garth. Now we can talk there. Well, Mr. Collin, have you finally made up your mind about adoption?
I don't know that we want to go that far, Mrs. Appleton. Not just yet. You see, I thought if my wife and I could take one of the children home for a month, 2 months, see how it worked out. You see, our son died in an automobile accident a year ago, and Mrs. Carlin hasn't been really right since. Depressed, migraine, headaches, spends a good deal of time in bed. And I thought if there were a boy around the house, it might help her. Help me, too.
Right.
You've been here several times. You've met all our children.
There's one. I believe his name is Bobby. About 10 years old.
Bobby Deland?
That's the one. I looked for him today when I was walking around the playground. I didn't see him. He's still here, isn't he?
Bobby's still here.
Oh, thank goodness. He's such an unusual boy. I'm surprised he wasn't asked for before this.
He was. Last year. It didn't work out.
Can you tell me why?
I can
Why?
do better than that.
Tell
I
me
have
why.
a tape of the interview with the lady who tried to give him a home. It's a practice here to make tapes of the conversations with prospective parents. It saves confusion, possible embarrassment later, if there's trouble. Oh, you're being taped right this minute, Mr. Carlin. I hope you don't mind.
No, not at all.
Right. Now, look, I won't play it all for you, just the part that concerns us now.
And we did everything we could think of to make Bobby happy, Mrs. Appleton. He seemed happy. There wasn't any way we could guess that he didn't like it with us. And then to wake up one morning and he was gone. Simply gone.
I'm sure you did everything you could.
Oh, we did. And he seemed to like us. Of course, he's naturally so sweet, so good. Except for the stealing.
The what? The stealing?
Oh, look, I shouldn't call it stealing. We'd find little things missing. Little nothings. Once it was a frying pan. A wooden spoon one time. Oh, we found them later. In his room. Once he took the belt from one of my dresses. A leather belt.
So we beat him with
it.
That's enough of that. But I should tell you, Bobby's been guilty of petty pilferage like that here at the orphanage. A hairbrush belonging to one of the teachers. And
Where did he go when he ran away?
well, the police found him that same night, wandering along a country road. There was a full moon. They had no trouble. And when the woman came to pick him up, he wouldn't talk to her. Wouldn't even see her. Didn't seem to hold anything against her. He just said it was no use.
No use?
It's what he always says.
You mean this has happened before?
Several times during the last couple of years. Look, I'm telling you all this to let you know that if you take Bobby into your home, you're not getting the usual child.
No child is the usual child, Mrs. Appleton.
Well, shall we go and have a talk with him, see how he feels about all this?
By all means.
Oh, I should tell you, Bobby's in confinement.
You don't mean solitary?
He's confined to one room without lights or windows.
Or food.
I know that sounds
Or
severe,
oxygen.
but
It does.
we've tried
He's in a
everything
coffin.
else. Even corporal punishment, though that's prohibited by law. It didn't do any good. He
Yeah, we
doesn't
do it
seem to
anyway.
feel it.
How long has he been confined?
Oh, nearly 3 weeks now.
Mrs. Appleton, 24 days is supposed to be the limit before the victim goes mad. That's been established in prisons with grown men. Bobby's a boy.
A most unusual boy. Shall we go talk to him?
What a biatch.
This way.
Mrs. Appleton, may I ask you, what is Bobby being punished for? What did he do?
Oh, didn't I tell you? He ran away from the orphanage. That's the only thing he ever needs to be punished for, running away.
Mrs. Appleton, when Bobby ran away from here, was it at night?
Middle of the night, as near as we could tell. Oh, here we are.
Was there a full moon that night?
He's a
I don't
werewolf.
recall. Does it matter?
It might.
Oh, here's my key. Bobby? It's Mrs. Appleton, Bobby.
Yes, Mrs. Appleton.
He's all right.
You can come out now, Bobby. The door's open. Can you see?
Yes, I can see Mrs. Appleton.
Does the light bother your eyes?
Not very much.
You remember Mr. Carlin, Bobby.
It's nice to see you.
I'm very well, Bobby, thank you.
I'm going back to the office.
didn't
now.
ask you.
You two can have a nice talk.
Thank you.
You can join me there later, Mr. Carlin.
Well, Bobby, I'm pleased you remember me. Didn't you mind being shut up in that dark room all by yourself for such a long time?
Was it a long time?
3 weeks.
Is that a long time?
What
Oh,
did you
this
do
kid's
all
creepy.
alone in there?
Oh, I listened to the silence. Talk to the dark.
I see. Would you like to come and stay with me and my wife for a while? See if you like it. We have a big house.
A very big house
Well, pretty big.
with servants
We have servants, yes.
and beautiful gardens and a big green lawn.
Well, does it matter if it's a big house with a lawn?
Hell yeah, it
A big
matters.
white house.
And servants, does that matter?
I don't know. I thought it did. I could sort of see it.
Well, what do you say? Would you like to visit with us for a while?
I think I would.
There's a good school nearby if you'd like to go.
I'm tired of memorizing things.
Whatever you say. Now, why don't you go pack some clothes, and I'll go see Mrs. Appleton in her office and make the arrangements.
Come in.
Facility access door unavailable.
Mrs. Appleton, that's
Restore
a
freight
remarkable
elevator
child.
operations to
Close the
unseal.
door, will you, Mr. Carlin?
Oh, yes.
We've already examined this.
You
Check your log.
persuaded him.
I'm convinced the reason Bobby can endure, even enjoy 3 weeks of confinement is because he's able to hypnotize himself. And not only hypnotize himself, but put himself into a deep trance. Almost anyone can be hypnotized, but only 1 in 20 can hypnotize himself. And I've never heard of anyone who could put himself into a deep trance state.
Well, supposing he can, what's the advantage of it?
Why, it means that he can reach his unconscious mind and perhaps unite it with his consciousness. A terribly difficult thing to do. And to do it alone without any outside help, I never thought it was possible.
Well, supposing he can do whatever it is you say he can, what of it?
Mrs. Appleton, do you know what powers are locked in the unconscious? What forces, what instinctive knowledge, primitive memories?
I've always thought of the subconscious as an untidy mass of very unpleasant emotions.
It is untidy, but we've been taught the emotions are unpleasant because they lack morality and purpose, as indeed they do. Their only purpose being to express themselves.
Most of us manage to live without expressing ourselves, Mr. Carlin.
Yes, but supposing you find one solitary human being who refuses to live that way.
You mean Bobby? Well, Mr. Carlin, if he's willing to go with you and you want him, I've checked you out, and everything's in order. Oh, one thing, Mr. Cullen. I hope you're not going to talk to Bobby about his mother.
Why not?
Oh, shit.
Why shouldn't he talk about his mother if he wants to?
Well, it's not really healthy in his case. He makes up outrageous stories about her.
Such as what?
Oh, that she was fantastically beautiful, that she married into royalty, a prince or a duke.
Oh, children often fantasize that way.
Last year he told us that she was a movie star, imagine.
Who was she really?
Oh, just a poor, pathetic woman on relief. I found that out from our records. I wasn't here when she brought him, but that was 6 years ago. He was only 4. The records say she simply couldn't afford to keep him.
She's never been back?
Never been back. Never called to see how he was getting along. Never sent him a present or even written him a note. Come in. Oh, Bobby. All packed to go home with Mr. Carlin?
He has a big white house, Mrs. Appleton, with a big lawn and flowers and lots of servants. Haven't you, Mr. Carlin?
Yes.
I'm sorry about your wife.
What? What about my wife?
I'm sorry she's so unhappy. Didn't you tell me she's unhappy and sick sometimes?
I don't think I did.
You must have. Or how would I know?
Do we really know only what we've been told, or what we've read, or heard? I hate to believe that, because then each of us is only a jumbled mass of information. And very often, we go about spreading this jumbled information for others to pick up and repeat. No wonder the world is in such a turmoil, if all we know is what we've been told by people who only know what they've been told, who only know what... Oh, no, there must be more. We can't go on this way. However, having no solution at hand, I shall return shortly with Act 2.
Facility access door unavailable. Refer to
When one
display
adopts
panel
a
for
boy 10
self-repair
years
requirements.
old, it is not only the 10-year-old boy who has been taken into the new home, it is also the boy who was once 9, once 8, once 7, and so on, clear back to the day an infant was born. And these early years are unknown, utterly unknown to the new parents. Just how unknown they are to the child is the subject of our story.
Facility access
We're
door
almost there,
unavailable.
Bobby.
I know.
Refer to
You
display
know?
panel for self-repair
I
requirements.
figured.
You mean you felt it? That we were almost there?
Something like that, I guess.
Mental telepathy, maybe?
What's that?
Well, thought transference. I was thinking to myself, we're almost home, and the thought transferred itself to your mind. Is that what happened?
I wasn't thinking about anything at all.
It's when we're not thinking about anything at all that the thoughts of other people enter our minds.
I'd like to think about that.
Well,
I think that's very true what you said, Mr. Carlin. It's when you're not thinking about anything at all. That's when the good things happen.
what good things, Bobby?
Oh, all the good things. Mr. Carlin, you should have turned right there.
No, that's Birch Tree Road. We live on a
You should
street...
have turned there. Go back.
Hey, Bobby, take it easy.
Go back.
Bobby, I know where I live, and I know how to get there. Your telepathy wasn't in good working order that time. Now, here is where we turn. To the left. We go about a quarter of a mile up this road, and then we're there.
It's pretty.
Is it what you expected?
Kind of. It smells nice.
You smell something?
It smells sweet. Very, very sweet.
I don't smell anything. Oh, we're coming to the privet hedge. That's the sweet smell. Imagine you picking it up way back there. Now we're coming to the house.
It is white.
I told you it was.
And there's a lawn in front with flowers.
I told you there would be. Well, here we are.
But it's not a very big house.
It has 16 rooms.
And where are all the servants?
You lied! Bobby's gonna go ape crap now.
Did you sleep well in your new room, Bobby?
Yes, I did. It's a very nice room.
Nicer than the orphanage?
That was nice.
Barely.
But this is nicer.
This morning, Bobby, I want to take you to meet my wife. Her name is Anita, if you want to call her that. I think I should tell you she gets migraine headaches from time to time.
I know. I knew she was sick sometimes. I think she's sick now.
No, she's not. I saw her this morning. She was fine. Come on, let's go upstairs.
Okay. It's not very nice to be sick like that, is it?
No, it certainly is not.
I used to have asthma. That was terrible.
What did you used to do about it?
Oh, I made it stop.
Made it stop? Just like that?
Sort of. It was a long time ago.
Here we are. Anita, may we come in, dear? Come on. Anita, this is Bobby.
Go away, please. She's sick.
My dear, is it another migraine?
Please. I can't.
Bobby, we'd better come back later.
She's sick.
You'll meet her tomorrow. Come on.
Mrs. Carlin, I'm here. I know how much it hurts, but I want you to know I'm here. And I want it to stop hurting. Please. Try to look at me, Mrs. Carlin.
Bobby, don't. When she's like this, it's no use.
I want you to give me your headache, Mrs. Carlin. I want you to give it to me. Look, Mrs. Carlin. Anita, look. Give me your headache. I want to take it away from you. I'm going to take it away from you. Do you hear me? I'm going to take it. You're going to give it to me. I'm going to take it. Yes, I'm taking it. You're giving it to me. You're giving me your headache, aren't you? Yes, you are. I know you are. Please give it to me. All of it. Yes. Oh, please. Oh, yes. 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 It's gone. All gone.
Bobby, where are you going?
It's all right. All right.
Bobby?
I couldn't help Mr. Carlin. I had to throw up.
Well, that's all right, son. That's all right.
How is Mrs. Carlin?
She says her headache is gone.
Yes. Of course it's gone. She gave it to me.
And how are you?
I think I'm going to be all right pretty soon. I never knew before what a migraine headache was like. Now I know.
Mrs. Appleton speaking.
This is George Carlin, Mrs. Appleton. I've got great news for you.
Everything's working out?
3 weeks now, and everything's going wonderfully. He seems very happy here, and heaven knows he's made us happy. My wife hasn't had another headache since that time I wrote you about when Bobby cured her.
You think he really did?
Well, he did something to Mrs. Carlin. Perhaps he hypnotized her, I don't know. But her headache stopped. I was there. I saw it happen.
Well, I have to take your word for it, Mr. Carlin. Has he stolen anything that you know of?
No, I don't think so.
Well, you'd better check.
There's a belt of mine missing, but I'm sure I must have mislaid it.
Look in his room.
No, I wouldn't dream of doing that. The boy is happy here, and we're happy having him here.
Has he talked about his mother?
No, he hasn't mentioned her.
Well, my advice is to keep it that way.
I don't think I agree with that, Mrs. Appleton.
You know what I told you. All you'll get from him is a lot of wild fantasy.
At this point, I feel I'd like to hear anything Bobby cares to tell me.
Well, if you don't want to take my advice...
No, it's not that, Mrs. Appleton. It's that for the time being, I'd sort of like to follow my own instincts. You understand?
I suppose so.
I'll keep in touch with you.
Please do, and good luck to you.
Thank you. Oh, Bobby, I didn't hear you come in. That was Mrs. Appleton I was talking to on the phone.
How is she?
She's fine. Do you miss her?
Not too much.
What?
Bobby, you know that black tooled leather belt of mine?
Yes, I know that belt.
I can't find it. Have you seen it?
It's in my room.
Well, did I leave it there, do you think?
I don't know. I don't think so.
By any chance, Bobby, did you take it out of my room?
I guess I did. I'm pretty sure I did. You want me to go get it?
Well, you can have it if you really want it. Only I'd rather you'd ask me instead of just taking it.
But I don't want it.
No?
It's too big for me. Why would I want it?
I don't know.
I just saw it, and it reminded me of something.
Reminded you of what?
I was going to give it back to you. I didn't mean to keep it. I didn't even want it.
All right now. It's all right. Just put it back in my room when you get a chance, will you?
I'll put it right back now.
No, in the morning we'll be all right. Bobby, do you ever feel you want to talk to me about your mother?
My mother?
Do you remember her at all? I know you were only 4 when she left you at the orphanage.
She was very, very beautiful.
What else?
I'm not supposed to talk about my mother.
Well, don't you want to?
Not now, Mr. Carlin.
All right. But if you ever want to, I'm here, you know.
I know.
George? George?
Hmm?
Oh, what are you doing up? Can't you sleep?
Not for hours.
Oh, the moon is so bright. I don't wonder.
No, it's not just the moon. I was thinking about Bobby.
Oh, funny. I was thinking about him, too.
I talked to Mrs. Appleton this afternoon. She asked me, did Bobby ever talk about his mother?
He never does.
That's what I told her. And she said, fine, keep it that way. But I said I didn't agree, that I thought he should talk about whatever he felt like talking about.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Bobby came into the room about that time, and I brought up the subject of his mother. And all he'd say was, she was very, very, very beautiful.
That's all?
I tried to get him to go on, but he just clammed up, said I'm not supposed to talk about her.
Mrs. Appleton probably told him not to.
She has a point in a way. She says Bobby makes up wild stories about his mother, whom he hasn't seen or even heard from in 6 years.
You mean since he was 4?
That's right. But he tells people, or used to, that she had dozens of admirers, finally married some title gen, became a movie star.
Oh, George. Our children often do that.
Another thing, Mrs. Appleton asked me if Bobby had snitched anything. And I told her about my black tooled leather belt. Then when Bobby came in, I asked him had he seen it, and right away he said yes, it was in his room.
Really?
I asked him if he'd taken it, and he said he guessed he must have. Did I want it back? It was too big for him anyway.
Oh, isn't that peculiar?
You know, I told you the woman who took him last year said he snitched silly things. A frying pan, a wooden spoon, a belt off one of her dresses.
Oh. Now, I wonder if that's where our little frying pan disappeared to. They were asking me in the kitchen if I'd seen it.
What, there's a frying pan missing?
Heavens, George, we have about 12 frying pans of assorted sizes.
Is there anything else missing?
Oh, nothing else. Oh. Well, unless you want to say one of my shoes is missing.
One of your shoes?
Those high-heeled things. I've given up high heels, and I put those out to give away. And next time I looked, there was only one. Must have gotten thrown out. Goodness, it would take one shoe.
Who would throw away one shoe?
Oh, George. Look, come on back to bed. Maybe you can get to sleep.
Yeah, maybe.
If that damn moon wasn't so bright. Shines right across the bed. Why don't you pull the curtains?
You know what? It's a full moon.
Well, pull the curtains and come to bed. Can you see, or do you want a light on?
Oh, I can see. What was that?
What was what?
Did you hear a door close?
What door?
It sounded like downstairs. There he goes.
Bobby?
Yes, and there's a full moon.
George.
Like before.
Call him back. Go after him, George.
No. No, I don't think I'm going to do that.
Well, for heaven's sake, why not? You can't just let him go wandering around all by
No,
himself.
I don't think he's going to be just wandering around.
You think he's going someplace in particular?
Yes.
Where?
I don't know. And I don't think he knows either. But someplace.
As we are all going someplace. We don't know where, and there is no one who knows to tell us where. Yet, very deep in our minds, or our hearts, or our tormented souls, we know we are going someplace. We can't see ahead, and it does no good to look back. We can only trudge on down the road to someplace. I'll be back shortly with Act 3.
The temperature in downtown Chicago, 88 degrees. Officially at Midway, 85. This is WVBM Chicago.
The full moon with which Act 2 ended has been wiped out now by the exploratory colors of the rising sun. And steadily down a winding road trudges a small boy, 10 years of age, steadily, purposefully, toward a destination he could not name were you to ask him. It is Bobby Deland. The thin little boy's arms start to wave wildly as a truck approaches.
What's up, kid?
Could you give me a lift?
How far are you going?
Facility access door unavailable.
Down the road
Refer
away.
to display panel for self-repair
Here,
requirements.
let me give you a hand. That's a pretty big step up.
I can do it.
What you doing out at this hour? It's hardly daylight.
I have to go see somebody.
You expected?
Yes, I'm expected. I didn't say when, though.
Going to see your folks?
My mother.
Oh, your mother. And I guess you know where she's at.
Somewhere along this road.
No number? No name? Like on a mailbox?
I'll know when we get there.
You've been there before, I guess.
It's a great big white house with a big green lawn and flowers.
I think I know the place you mean.
And lots of servants.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is. See? Right there. Stop. I want to get out. Stop the truck.
I'll stop. Don't jump. Hold on. I'm stopping. Now, wait a second, kid.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Hey! You hadn't ought to go in there. Hey, you know what you're doing? You hadn't ought to...
That's it. That's the house. This is the lawn. There are the flowers. But where are the servants? Where's my mother?
You want to sit here, Baroness? Under this tree. Is that all right? I'll fetch you some coffee, and I'll be right back.
Excuse me. Are you my mother's maid?
Yes, I am.
Will you tell her I've come to see her, please? If she feels well enough to see me.
What's your name?
Bobby Deland. Would you tell my mother?
And how did you get in here, Bobby?
Somebody dropped me off. Before. I've been waiting till I saw the servants come out of the house. Now, please, I'd like to see my mother.
You mean that lady over there?
Yes, my mother.
Oh, I'm afraid that's not your mother, dear. That's the Baroness Hortha.
Well, her name before was Mrs. Deland. Please tell her I want to see her. Oh, never mind. I'll...
Hold on now, just a minute.
Let go. Let me
Not
go.
so fast, young man.
Let go of me.
Miss Copeland, what's going on?
Oh, it's this boy. He wandered in here. He wants to talk to the Baroness. He's her son, he says.
Well, then let him.
Should I, Doctor?
Why not? He may succeed where we failed. Go ahead, my boy.
Thank you. Hello, Mother. I'm here.
Hello, Mrs. Appleton? George Carlin. I wanted to tell you Bobby's been found. Thank you for not calling the police. Well, you know, I told you I saw him leave the house. I simply followed him in my car. It wasn't hard, so don't worry. What's that? Well, and I don't think that's necessary, but if you want to... Look, can't you tell me over the phone? Well, all right. No, I'm not at home. I'm at the place where I found Bobby. It's on Birch Tree Road, not too far from where I live. A big white house, very big. Big lawn out in front. It's the Wesley Sanitarium. You know it? Well, I'm with Dr. Wesley right now. All right, we'll expect you. Mrs. Appleton's coming over, if that's all right, Doctor.
Perfectly all right.
She wants to tell me something, show me something. I don't know what.
Tell me, Mr. Carlin, what made you think Bobby might come here?
It was just a guess. But when I brought him home from the orphanage, he wanted to turn onto Birch Tree Road.
Did he say why?
He thought it was the road my house is on. Not that he'd ever been at my house. All he knew about my house was that it was big and white, had a lawn with flowers and servants. He knew that because I told him. And I told him because he specifically asked.
It seemed important to him, did it?
Very. I was puzzled at that because he's not a snobbish sort of boy, quite the contrary. That insistence on a lot of servants. Now I begin to understand. Your sanitarium does have a lot of servants, as well as a lawn and flowers.
But the boy's never seen the sanitarium, has he?
He hasn't even seen his mother since the age of 4.
Then how would he know?
I suppose that when you dream about a certain person for such a long time and fantasize about that person, the way he did about his mother...
What sort of fantasies?
Oh, wild ones. That she was much admired, much sought after, that she married into royalty, became a movie star.
Hold on there. She did marry into royalty.
You don't mean she's really a baroness?
Yes, indeed. The Baroness Hortha.
Well, I thought that baroness stuff was, part of her dementia.
The Baron brought her here. The Baron pays her bills. He's not very high up in the royal lists, but he's a Baron, nevertheless.
The boy couldn't have known that. No more than he could have known Birch Tree Road.
Now, about her becoming a movie star, the Baron told us that she made a motion picture a few years ago. Actually, that's where he met her. He put up the money. She starred in it.
Well, that's impossible, isn't it? Someone would have known, seen the picture, recognized her.
I don't know who saw the picture, Mr. Carlin. It was a pornographic film.
No.
The Baron has made a good bit of money on pornographic films, I'm told.
She made the film?
Starred in it.
She married the Baron?
He's devoted to her.
Well, then what happened?
Oh, about a year ago, she became severely depressed. It went further, into melancholia. Finally, she became very nearly catatonic, and he brought her here. She won't talk to him when he comes to see her, as she's never spoken to any of us.
It was about a year ago, as I understand it, that Bobby began to talk about a big white house with a lawn and gardens, and a lot of servants. Could he have known that she'd been brought here? To a place he'd never seen, didn't even know existed?
It's a rare person who has a faculty to sense what is going on. But if there is a great affinity between two people, I suppose a telepathic communication is, well, it's possible.
Was there such an affinity between Bobby and his mother? After all, she abandoned him when he was 4 and never communicated with him after that.
Communicated with him? I'd say by all the evidence, she communicated with him the whole time they were apart. She may not have known she was communicating, but her son was, on the face of it, so sensitively attuned to her and her existence, he could pick up waves that emanated from her that she knew nothing about. Come in.
Dr. Wesley, I hope I did the right thing.
What's that?
Well, I left the little boy with the Baroness. Is that all right?
I think so. The Baroness has never shown the slightest sign of being violent. Quite the contrary.
Well, she does seem interested in him. I mean, she looks at him.
Sounds like progress to me.
So then I should just leave them together?
Where are they?
In her room?
I'd say leave them together. But leave the door open.
Yes, Doctor.
It will be astounding if she recognizes him, accepts him. It could mean she's on her way back.
Dr. Wesley, this faculty you talk about, this rare ability to sense things, What is it?
It doesn't have a name. Anyway, not a name that appears in scientific journals, but some clairvoyants have it, some mystics have it, some saints, I suppose. Many poets have it. It's an ability to reach far into oneself, to make contact. Do you know the poem called The Labyrinth? W.H. Auden wrote it. There are 4 lines from it that I quote to myself all the time. The center that I cannot find is known to my unconscious mind. I have no reason to despair because I am already there. Nice, isn't it?
What does it mean?
Oh, come, Mr. Carlin. You know very well what it means.
That if we only go deep enough into ourselves, we will find the center that will stabilize us? Is that it? Give us peace? Is that it?
The peace that passeth all understanding, because I'm afraid understanding has very little to do with it.
To think that a 4-year-old boy could hold fast to the image of his mother through all those years.
What else had he to hold fast to?
And then find her by his own effort.
Which only proves again, Mr. Carlin, we get what we want if we want it enough. Come in.
Mrs. Appleton.
I got here as soon as I could.
Mrs. Appleton, Dr. Wesley.
Please sit down, Mrs. Appleton.
Oh, thank you, Doctor.
Now, the boy's all right, Mrs. Appleton. You're not to worry.
He's with his mother.
His mother?
He found her here, Mrs. Appleton. She's the reason for his running away all those times.
Mr. Carlin, Dr. Wesley, I brought something to show you. Something for you to hear.
And what is that?
Well, when you called me last night, Mr. Carlin, I was so upset. Everything had been going so well, and then to have him run away again. Anyway, I couldn't get back to sleep. So I went down to the basement, and I rummaged around among the old files, and I found this.
A tape?
Yes. We keep tapes at the orphanage of all the interviews we have with prospective parents and with the people who leave their children for adoption. Well, this tape, this one goes back 6 years before I came to the orphanage. And it's a tape of... Oh, is it all right if I use this machine, Doctor?
Yes, go right ahead.
All right. Now, I'll just play you the part towards the end. It's the tape they had running when Mrs. Deland came to leave Bobby.
You gotta take him or I'll kill him. Look, I'm a cheap prostitute. I live in one room. I have to send the kid out to play in the street while I'm conducting my business. Now, how long can I go on telling him it's his Uncle Charlie I got up in my room? And another thing, I haven't got the greatest disposition in the world. And when I'm hungover, when my head hurts, I go crazy, and I'm liable to hit him. And not just hit him. I'll hit him with anything that's handy. Yesterday, I hit him with my shoe. With the heel. My shoe. A spike heel this high. And it doesn't have to be a shoe. I'll pick up anything and hit him with it. A frying pan, the belt off my dress, anything that's handy.
Well, I wanted you to hear that, Mr. Carlin, because you said that Bobby had taken a belt at your house, and the woman last year said he took a frying pan.
He took a shoe of my wife's.
I think we'd better go see if everything's all right. Come with me. He's right down the hall.
How in the world did his mother come to be here?
It's a long story, Mrs. Appleton.
Oh, how did he know she was here?
That's an even longer story.
Here we are.
Is he in there with her?
Yes. Be quiet.
I brought you some presents, Mother. Look. Here's a belt. And here's a frying pan.
To hit me with.
And here's a shoe. See, Mother? They're for you. With my love.
Mothers of the world, rejoice, for you are loved. Of course, in the human nature of things, you are simultaneously hated, and by the same person. For no emotion as powerful as love can flourish unadulterated. Side by side with love goes hate. It is, you might say, a package deal. I'll be back shortly. Isn't our real life lived within ourselves? The posturing we do in full view of others, what is that but the antic behavior of a poor clown who needs to be applauded? The exterior life is really only incidental, yet we expend all our energy on it, while the interior life is left to its own devices, as though deeply ashamed of it. We wish to disown it. Our cast included Michael Tolan, Marion Seldes, Martha Greenhouse, Hetty Galen, and Gilbert Mack. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division, the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg's Special K cereal, and new sugar-free Diet 7-Up. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Broke it again.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to the shadowy land of the imagination, where all things are possible. Would you believe that a husband and wife could look at the same woman, and the wife would see her as an old lady, almost in her dotage, while the husband sees a beautiful woman in her early 30s? Impossible, you say?
Of course, Ray. You know I'm going to bewitch you.
You've been trying, haven't you?
Only half-heartedly. Remember, you're married.
I never forget it for a moment. You're the one who seems to want to forget it. You won't even meet my wife.
Well, of course I will. Let's all attend a witch's Sabbath together. You, your wife, and I, your favorite witch.
You almost make me believe you're serious, Clarissa.
Dare to make the date, and then you'll find out. I'd love to see you at a witch's Sabbath.
Our mystery drama, The Young Die Good, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Murray Burnett and stars Patricia Elliott and Carol Teitel. It is sponsored in part by new sugar-free Diet 7-Up and Buick Motor Division. I'll be back shortly with Act 1. I've never been able to figure out why it's customary to tie strings of empty tin cans to the car of newlyweds. What do the empty cans signify? I can't go along with the cynic who suggested that the cans symbolize the extent of home-cooked meals that the poor groom is going to get for the remainder of his lifetime. I know for a fact that this wasn't true of the young newlyweds we're about to meet, Lisa and Ray Bissonette. Lisa happened to be a good enough cook to be able to win prizes. And on the day our story opens, she'd left a roast in the oven while she went out and explored the small grounds of the Bissonette's little dream house. A high hedge ran alongside the driveway that separated the Bissonette house from their neighbor. And Lisa, with the curiosity that all daughters of Eve have had since the Garden of Eden, poked her head through an opening in the hedge.
Hello there. Come on through and get acquainted.
Hello. I'm Lisa Bissonette. I'm your new neighbor.
I'm Clarice Wenderby. It's good to see young people next door again. I hope you and your husband will be very happy.
Thank you. Have you lived here long?
Well, I was here before your house was built. Of course, my husband was alive then.
And now you're alone?
Yes. And happy to see you. You're welcome to drop in any time, sir. I'd be glad of the company.
That's very neighborly, and I'll return the invitation. Oh, but I have to run now. Take a look at my roast. I expect my husband in less than an hour.
Hi there, neighbor.
Oh, hi. I'm Ray Bissonette.
Well, I'm Clarissa Jaffe. Can I offer you a cocktail before dinner?
Sounds delightful, but my wife's expecting me. She heard me drive up and...
Say no more. Just remember, you have a rain check any time.
I'll remember. Thanks.
It's nice to have neighbors again. Be seeing you. Welcome, my lord and master, to your home and castle.
Hey there, doll. Don't let women's lib hear that greeting.
You know I didn't mean it.
You didn't.
Just the welcome part.
Hey, something smells delicious. And yours was the second welcome I got since I came home.
Oh?
You can say that again. The dish who lives next door was at that hedge opening in the driveway and asked me in for a drink.
That's why we're married, darling. I love you and your sense of humor.
What's so funny? She really did ask me.
I'm sure she did, darling. She's a lovely old lady. Oh, I'm sorry to spoil your little game, because I saw her earlier this afternoon, and you can't hope to make me jealous of a woman in her 80s.
Well, I don't know what woman you saw, Lisa. But the lady who spoke to me wasn't anywhere near 30, let alone 80.
I know what I saw and who I saw.
Well, I'm sure you saw what you told me, honey, but... Well, at least give me the same break you asked for yourself. I know what I saw, too.
It's crazy.
Well, there's probably some simple explanation.
I'll bet there is. And I'm the one who's going to get it from Mrs. Wenderby the first thing tomorrow morning. Lisa, how nice of you to come visiting so soon and so early. Would you like a cup of coffee? Coffee would be nice. Well, let's go into the kitchen. I always find it cozier. Do you take cream and sugar? Just black, thank you. Tell me, are you getting used to the neighborhood? Do you find the shopping center exciting? As a matter of fact, yes. But if you don't... I get out so infrequently. There used to be a farmer's market on Duane Street that had the loveliest, freshest vegetables. Duane Street? It's just one block past the station. Of course, you don't meet your husband at the train, so... My husband's really the reason I came over. Oh, how interesting. You didn't meet him yesterday, did you? Did he say he did? Well, he said he met a beautiful 30-year-old woman. Here? In my house. Who's the woman my husband saw last night? My dear child, don't tell me you're jealous. Goodbye, Mrs. Wenderby. I'm sorry I bothered you. Please, don't go. I'll try to help you. Why should it be so difficult? There's something here I don't understand, and I'm going to get to the bottom of it. It might be best if you move. What? It really might be best. It's ridiculous. What? Do you know what you're saying? Yes. But Ray and I looked for a house for almost 6 months. We could never find a house like this at the price we paid. I know. Perhaps you'll do well to find out why this house went so cheaply. Hi, neighbor. I'm glad you decided to pick up your rain check on that drink so quickly.
No drink, thanks.
Oh, come in anyway. It's only neighborly to get...
I left the office early today, just to straighten something out. This shouldn't really take more than a minute.
Are you afraid of me? Sit down.
Oh, thank you. It may sound silly, but last night my wife and I got into a ridiculous
This looks like the main IT facility for the sector.
Yeah, you see,
I remember hearing strange rumors about the records they were storing here.
you're an old lady.
I'll settle for a few useful pieces of tech.
Well, that's what I told her.
There were
But
barely
she insists
10,000
she was
people
here
in my
before me
hometown.
yesterday, and
I was the only person
spoke
from
with
it
an old
who
lady
made it
who
into
said
the
she lived
expedition.
Oh,
I wanted to get
now
out of there
I
badly enough
understand.
to do
What a silly, silly mistake.
Not that you would know it
The
by how
old
many people cared about me after I got picked, obviously. And that was only when I got in as one of thousands of people working for Annex Cal on Earth. After I became one of the few hundred of us who was actually going, apparently there was a parade. Thankfully, I was already in orbit. These look like security logs by someone named Snowman. My memory of him is scattered. He feels like someone I wanted to forget. What did we even need an IT security officer for? These logs read like bad teenage drama. He was spying on people. If we run into this guy, I kinda hope we have a good reason to leave him behind. I'm kidding, I think.
Lady, your wife, Ned, is my mother, Therese Wenderby.
Your mother lives with you?
But not all the time. But she's here a good deal. My husband's wonderful about it.
Well, Lisa told me she was very definite about saying she lived here alone.
Mm-hmm. Well, now you know that isn't so, don't you, Ray?
I know, but how do I convince Lisa?
Well, being a woman, I think Lisa will understand when you tell her my mother's vain.
Vain?
Yes, as ridiculous as it sounds for a woman her age. She just hates to admit that she has a daughter my age.
Oh, I find that hard to believe.
Are, either of your parents living, Ray?
My dad, he's 68.
Well, you'll find that the older a person gets, the more childish their behavior can become.
Yeah, I'm glad you said can, because I don't think my dad is...
Well, let's hope not. But, can you understand why my mother lied to your wife?
No, not completely, but at least I'll be able to calm Lisa down.
No. It's the most ridiculous story I've ever heard.
But, darling, I tell you that
I know what you tell me. You've been telling me for the past half hour. And I tell you it's nonsense. Did you ask to see her mother?
It never occurred to me.
Why not?
Well,
You didn't take my word seriously enough to question this beautiful dame you say lives next door. That's why not.
Oh, now, Lisa, I can't know why you're making this personal. I believe you. I believe you met and spoke with an 83-year-old woman who said she lived in the house next door.
Alone.
No contents detected.
Now, why won't you believe that this woman is the mother
We've
of the
already
young woman
examined
who
this.
spoke with me?
Check your
Because
log.
Mrs. Winderby said she didn't have a daughter.
But I've already explained that.
And I don't buy it.
For the 100th time, why not?
Because when I spoke to Mrs. Wenderby today and told her your story about meeting the young lady, what do you think she said to me?
I can't imagine.
She told me to move. Move out of this house.
Well, that proves it. The old girl is slightly batty.
Oh, I know how to settle this. We're going over there, the two of us, and straighten this out once and for all. Well, it is possible that they're afraid to answer the door.
That's not possible. But it is possible that no one's home.
You said you were just talking to her.
I think we've been arguing at least 15 minutes. She could have gone out during that time.
But there are lights upstairs.
Well, some people leave lights on when they go out because they're afraid that an unlighted house is an invitation to a burglar.
I can't understand why you're so dead set against admitting that for some reason she doesn't want to meet me.
And I can't understand why we're standing outside an obviously empty house ringing a doorbell when we could go back to our place.
I'm sorry, Ray.
It's okay.
I don't know what's happening to us. Or I guess I should say what's happening to me. I'm behaving like all the wives I've hated all my life.
Oh, forget it, love.
Ray, why was this house such a good buy?
What?
Mrs. Wenderby told me to ask you why we got this house so cheap.
Oh, I thought we were going to stay off this subject.
I just want a simple answer to a simple question.
Is that really all you're asking?
Yes. Why won't you answer me?
Well, I have my reasons.
I'm sure you have. And I guess it's because of the attractiveness of that 30-year-old woman you say lives next door.
Why, you're jealous. That's what this whole thing is about. You're jealous.
Don't be ridiculous.
For Pete's sake, Lisa, the reason I don't want to tell you is... Well, it's because I'm afraid you'll get upset.
I'll be more upset if you don't tell me.
Okay. Superstitious people around here think there's some kind of jinx on this house.
Jinx?
It's silly, but there you are.
Why? Why do they think there's a jinx?
Something about the last two couples who lived here. Both husbands are dead. They died under peculiar... I don't know. Don't worry about it. It's all a lot of nonsense.
How did they die, Ray?
I don't know. Nobody knows. They just disappeared.
Disappearing husbands have always been a problem to the wives they leave behind. And houses with a reputation for bringing tragedy to families that dwell in them have always been a problem to those who want to dispose of them. Behind both problems, there's always a reason. And that's what Lisa Bissonette intends to discover when I return shortly with Act Two. Today's civilization is replete with problem solvers of various kinds. We have our priests, ministers, rabbis, and gurus, and we have the psychoanalysts, the newspaper columnists, the palm readers, soothsayers, and astrologists, all doing their best to clear up the riddles of the living.
We're in. Scan
Some
those mining
strong-minded
charges.
people prefer to do
And
their own
that computer
problem
has
solving.
something up with it, too. Something keeps pinging this terminal with the most irritating supply requisition I've ever seen. Wait, it's the Excalibur. But why would they requisition? Hold on. It's not a requisition at all. Someone is using the supply management system to send a distress call?
Automated distress call received. Waypoint added to system display.
An automated distress call? I've only ever seen one of these in training. It shouldn't even happen. These beacons only light up when someone becomes unable to trigger a distress call themselves. Or worse. We need to find the source of that signal. Somebody needs our help.
Ray Bissonette was one of these. And he faced his problem by coming home early, leaving his car around the corner, and walking across the lawn of the house next door to his.
Hi there, neighbor. You look like a man with a problem.
All right, you are.
Can I help?
You bet. Because you're the problem.
Oh, don't tell me it's your wife and my mother again.
That's exactly what it is, and I'd be grateful if you just walk across to my house with me right now and let me introduce you to Lisa.
Well, of course.
You will?
Well, you sound surprised.
Well, forgive me, but this thing has Lisa so uptight. I guess some of her nonsense has rubbed off on me.
Well, what seems to be bothering her? Is she jealous?
It's hard to tell. She finds the situation strange.
Oh!
What happened?
Oh! It's my ankle.
Oh.
I turned it in this hole. I told Harry we've got to do something about the moles. They tunnel everywhere.
Can you walk?
I'll try. Would you let me lean on you? Oh!
Oh, no. This is no good. Let me carry you.
Well, I'm certainly not going to meet your wife with you carrying me.
No, I'll take you back to your place. Just put your hand around my neck. Want the couch or the chair?
I think the couch, if you don't mind. I can put my foot up.
There you are.
Oh.
Anything I can get you?
Oh. No. No, thanks. And, oh, Ray, I'm truly sorry.
Oh, accidents happen.
Are you angry?
Oh, no. It was an accident.
You should be.
Why?
Well, isn't it obvious? You and your pretty wife are quarreling, and I'm the cause.
Oh, it'll pass.
Ray, do you find me fascinating?
Uh-oh, Ray.
But not irresistible.
Come on, Clarice. What are you trying to do?
Find out if I'm attractive to you.
You know you are.
Good. That makes me happy. Just knowing that I'm still attractive.
Hey, you talk like an old lady.
Well, women are funny.
I wish I could tell when you're leveling.
You will when you get to know me better.
Well, that's not going to be until Lisa meets you.
I promise you that we'll meet.
When?
I don't know, but...
Hey, how about you and Harry getting together with us for an evening? Maybe dinner and a show.
Well, I'd love it, but Well, Harry's really pretty much of a stick in the mud.
Oh, I'm sure you can talk him into going out with us.
Well, I'll try.
How about this afternoon?
We must prove to your pretty wife that there really is a Clarissa.
That's one reason.
I'll try to get Harry to go along.
Where shall we meet?
Well, if you don't hear from me, let's meet at Theodore's. The food is good, the lights are low, and the music romantic. Dear Clarissa and Harry are almost 1 hour late.
I guess so, but, well, relax. This is a lovely restaurant. We can have another cocktail.
No, thank you.
I'm sure they'll be here any minute.
Why am I sure they won't be?
Darling, I spoke with Clarissa this morning. It's just inconceivable they won't show. After all, we're neighbors. Don't read.
Mr. Bissonette?
Yes.
Telephone for you, sir. Shall I bring it to your table?
I'll see you at home, Ray.
Now, wait a minute.
I've waited too long as it is. Both of us know what that phone call means, and I've had it. If you want to talk to me, you can reach me at home. And if you're not at home in an hour, don't bother to come at all.
What is her problem?
Here's your phone, sir.
Oh, thank you. Hello?
Oh, Ray, darling. I don't know how to tell you this, but,
You can't make it.
Yes, that's right. Harry came down with this miserable, I don't know, I guess it's a 24-hour virus or something, and it just, well, look, let's make it another time.
Oh, no, that's out of the question now, Clarissa. It's been strange knowing you, but we better forget the whole thing.
Why, Lisa, child, what brings you here at this time of night?
Your sick son-in-law, Harry. I thought maybe he'd like...
Harry? Sick? Isn't he? No, not that I know of.
At least we're getting somewhere. But you admit that you have a daughter and a son-in-law.
We're coming, child.
All right. Now, perhaps you'll tell me why your daughter, Clarissa, doesn't want to meet me.
Did you, find out why your house was such a bargain?
Yes.
And you're still not thinking of moving?
I want to see your daughter.
There's no way you can. Unless you're willing to take my advice.
Are you trying to frighten me?
I am trying to help you. Believe me, my child, I'm trying to help you. And I should know better.
What's that thunder?
I'm afraid we're in for a storm. You'd best be getting back to your house.
But you still haven't told me what
I've done more than I should. So take my advice and take your handsome young husband and move out of that house.
My dear Mrs. Bissonette, I understand a little bit of what you're trying to tell me. But I still don't understand how you found it.
Professor Cooper, I told you. I was looking at these books on witchcraft in the library, and I came across your name several times. And everyone seems to agree that you're the foremost authority on witches. So I checked with the publishers, and they gave me your address.
And what is it you want me to do?
Tell my husband that at least there is the possibility that, well, that something very strange is going on at the house next door.
I couldn't possibly do that, Mrs. Bissonette. Not until I've done some investigating on my own.
Oh, would you, Professor? I'll pay whatever you...
It's not a question of money. It's time, of which I have very little. But if what you say is true, this might be very productive for my research for a book I'm doing on witchcraft now. I'll check it out.
This is my husband, Professor Linus Cooper.
Pleased to meet you.
Professor, please tell him what's happening next door.
I'm not exactly sure what's happening, but I have gathered enough evidence to make me suspicious and worried.
What do you call evidence, Professor?
I called at the house yesterday, and I saw the 80-year-old lady.
Oh, that doesn't prove anything.
And no one else. However, I am going to make one further test. Mrs. Bissonette, tell me, do you remember seeing any clocks in the house when you visited?
I really can't say.
I was only in the kitchen and walked through the living room.
What's all this about clocks?
Just this. I intend to get back into that house somehow in the next few days and explore it thoroughly. And if I find
breaking and
that
entering?
there are
Gotcha.
no clocks in the house,
What?
I should then advise you to move, Mr. Bissonette, and move fast.
Ray Bissonette.
Please don't hang up.
Oh, Clarissa, I'm very busy, really.
I know. I apologize for calling you at your office, but I just have to explain.
No, I've told you that as far as...
Please meet me for lunch today. At Whitley's. Anytime, at your convenience.
One condition. That you promise to meet Lisa and talk with her.
I can't go into that again, not on the phone. What time?
1:30. It's less crowded then. Just hope I'm not making another mistake.
Well, I'm the one who made the mistake, thinking I could play this crazy game.
I don't understand.
But there is no Harry. That's why I couldn't meet you and Lisa last night.
You mean you're not married?
Divorced. You see, there was a
So
Harry.
why did you...
Like
Yes.
you? Well, because I like you.
Well, that explains everything. You like a guy, so you lie to him.
Well, you do if you're a divorcee and you want to see him again without problems.
You're still not making sense.
Maybe this one wasn't such a good idea after all. Because when I tell you about my mother, it's going to sound like something out of a confession magazine.
Try me.
Well, my mother... why is it so hard for me to say this? My mother isn't well.
You mean there's something wrong with her?
No, she's old and stiff. Well, you know how some old people get.
Senile?
A little more than that. As a matter of fact, the doctors told me to institutionalize her, but I just can't. I won't.
Okay. I understand your problem and even why you don't want to solve it by sending your mother away, but can't you understand mine?
Of course, Ray. And I promise to do something about it.
All you have to do is meet Lisa and explain it to her. And you also ought to tell your mother to quit telling people horror stories and scaring the wits out of them.
I'm home, Clarice. I'm home. And I'm alone. And I must talk to you. I know. Then you must know what I want to talk to you about. Of course. Please, kind. How can I be anything else? Aren't we one and the same, just an older and a younger version of the same woman? That's why I know how angry you are, and it's also so useless somehow. Useless? Then why don't you appear, Clarice, before Ray? Let him see the old woman. For the same reason you don't meet Lisa and show her the young woman. Right. You remember our bargain with him, our master. I only have so much of the energy, and it must be reserved for the young men whom we need to stay young. And I talk to the young women. But, Clarissa, this one I like. And you frightened her, Clarice. You scared her so much she went and talked to our old friend. What do you mean? Professor Linus Cooper. And do you know what he's been talking about, Clarice? No, leave me alone. He has been asking about clocks. He wants to know if there are any clocks in our house. Clocks to tell the passage of time. You know what clocks are, you old fool. Please. He's going to come here and he's going to look around unless I stop him.
I'd have sworn the house was right around the corner. Let's see that street sign. Yes, Greenfield Lane. That was the name of the street. I'll just drive over the hill and turn the corner and... Hey, look out, you fool! Watch it!
Clarissa, was that the sound of a car crash? I don't think Professor Cooper will come visit us. I'm too old. Too old. And too tired. I know all about it, Clarice. I know how old you are, and silly, and soft. You told Lisa Bissonette to move, although you knew very well that her nice young husband would move with her. Didn't you, Clarice? I've told you, Clarissa. I'm very old and very, very tired. Just remember, you'll be a lot older and a lot more tired if Ray Bissonette moves away. You, Clarice, might even be dead.
From our first arithmetic class, we're taught that 1 and 1 make 2. 2 and 2 make 4, and so on. Until today, we're living in the computer society where giant adding machines solve all our problems for us. However, our minds would boggle, and the computer would break down in a world where 1 and 1 made only 1. I'll explain that strange arithmetic when I return shortly with Act 3.
Extraterrestrial material detected. Advanced mining drill or upgraded tool required.
Bad plan. That plan sucks. Breaker, you're going to build and place as many mining charges as it takes to blow this wall into the next sector. We need to get to that distress call as soon as possible.
Jealous feelings often conceal themselves behind other facades. And Ray Bissonette is convinced that his wife, Lisa, is overreacting to their somewhat eccentric neighbors because she's jealous of the lady next door. Lisa's willing to admit there may be some truth in that, but she's also convinced there's a lot more to it than jealousy, even though she can't put a name to it.
There's something so very wrong. I know it. I feel it in my bones.
Welcome, Groundbreaker, to the Excalibur. Proceed to your designated safety area and prepare for descent. We are bound for our final destination, Sector Victor. Upon arrival, preparations for our scheduled re-ascension will begin immediately. Do not delay in exiting the vessel.
Task inbound. Supply facility access door with self-repair materials. Tier 5 technology required to manufacture.
This store has another self-repair requirement, but we're in no position to argue. This is an emergency. If you haven't started making those yet, get going.
It just doesn't justify our giving up this house and paying a lot more for something nowhere near as nice.
And what about Professor Cooper?
You're going to try and blame an automobile accident on Clarissa?
Clarissa's just a name. I still haven't met her.
And you know why not.
Would you please listen to Clarice?
Why should I listen to an old lady who would be in an institution except for the kindness of her daughter?
You believe that?
Why not? A lot of old people get funny ideas.
Particularly when they live right next door to a house from which 2 young men have disappeared in the last year and a half.
Why, honey, you're really scared.
Yes. Yes, you big lug, I am.
Okay. Short of packing up and moving us out of here, what can I do to unscare you?
Listen to Clarice when you meet her.
And when will that be?
As soon as I can arrange it.
I see your little lady friend from next door is coming to visit, Clarice. And I must say I'm glad to get a chance to rest. It's quite tiring for me. I know, Clarissa. I know. Now remember, we need Ray Bissonette. I know that, too. I'm even more tired than you, Clarissa. Much more.
I'm so glad you're home, Mrs. Wenderby. I have a lot that I want...
Why don't you just come in and have some tea? I was just making myself a cup.
Oh, thank you.
You don't mind the kitchen?
Oh, not at all.
My dear, what is it you want from me?
I think you should come with me to my house and tell Ray what you told me.
Do you think your husband will move out because I tell him he should?
You're very wise. And forgive me, but very strange, too.
Just very old. You don't think about growing old, do you?
Well,
of course not. You're too young and too alive. You're not worried about the lines and the wrinkles. You wouldn't look for some way, for any way, to stay young forever.
Now, come on, baby. This is the 20th century, the atomic age, the computer-controlled society. Don't give me this stuff about witches.
How else can you explain what's been going on?
I wish you'd tell me just what you think has been going on.
Ray, why is it that I only see Mrs. Wenderby and you only see Clarissa?
I don't know.
It's because you're a man and I'm a woman.
Why should that make a difference?
If they both were the same woman,
back.
it would make all
For a
the
moment,
difference in the
I thought they were
world,
distorted, but now I
You know what
realize
you're
it
saying.
was something else. This place is sideways. Literally. This is the Excalibur. It belonged to the expedition. That factory and all those people I was expecting to find, they were a part of it. And so were we.
Damn it.
Very acrobatic of you to find a way up here, Breaker. This navigational sphere is inactive, but your scanner was able to pull a databank entry from it. Look up, Breaker. We were too late. Only one person would have been in that chair.
This is Colonel Stefan Wagner. Your suit is failing to transmit a signature. Identify yourself.
Paladin? Sir, you're alive!
In much the same way that you are, it would seem. It is a strange thing to be a witness to your own lifeless body.
I was unlucky enough to end up next to mine too, but yeah.
I'm not sure what we are now, but I know somehow that I am still myself. I am conscious. I am choosing these words. My experience of this loss is emotional.
Hey, I'm in no better shape than you are. And this Breaker has something wrong with their suit. For all we know, they could be a stack of drones in a trench coat. Either way, at least we've got a body to work with.
Precisely. For now, we must focus on goals that we can achieve. If the sensors from my command bridge were correct, our manufacturing in Sector Victor has been compromised. How far has your exhaustive reconstruction progressed?
Exhaustive reconstruction? Sir, it's the entire sector.
My apologies, Sergeant. I did not realize you had more pressing commitments.
We're rebuilding, sir, but mostly to focus on recovering signals for search and rescue. We can't reach command, we don't have orders, and for all we know, every sector could be exactly like this one. Gone.
Sergeant, your unit could go for months without direction from the surface. That's what deep reconnaissance is about. That's why we chose you to lead it. The resources we came here to harvest, refine, and bring home to Earth are still needed. There is no hardship we can face that does not pale in comparison to the strife that will be visited upon humanity if we fail. Until we learn otherwise, our mission to industrialize this world remains. And rest assured that we will rescue everyone we can to help us accomplish it. But we will accomplish it.
I understand. Either way, sir, we're going to give it everything we've got.
Good. Now let us find our friends.
Where in the world did you ever get a nutty idea like that?
From these books.
Then I suggest you stop reading
these
them. Stick with the comics. They make more sense.
You see, the succubi are really frighteningly ugly, but to young men they appear beautiful and desirable.
I can't believe you'd take all this witch and succubi stuff seriously.
2 men who lived in this house before us disappeared.
The only thing about that bothers me is that it bothers you.
If you're really concerned about me, there is something you can do.
You mean move out, yes?
I mean put my theory to the test.
How are we going to do that?
You make one last date with Clarissa.
Whoa.
Hear me out. Just for lunch or cocktail or coffee. You tell me when and where. I'll happen along.
It's
and
a trap.
Introduce me. After I meet her, I'll give you my word I'll never mention witches or moving again.
Sorry, Clarissa, but I don't think I'm late.
You're right on the dot. Honestly, Ray, I was so excited when you called. I just couldn't wait to see you.
My wife asked me to call you.
Well, I find that fascinating.
She's really bugged about never having met you, and she's getting all kinds of crazy ideas about you and your mother, and I'm really worried.
Well, of course you are. I will have you and your wife at my house for cocktails tomorrow around 5:30.
Great.
But only on the condition that you come alone on the following day for tea.
I hate tea.
Oh, but you haven't tasted my brew.
But
And you'll also promise to look deeply into my eyes when you drink.
You're putting me on.
I was never more serious in my life. And now, if you'll excuse me.
Oh, but I wanted to tell you about this.
Talking to yourself, darling?
Oh, Lisa, no. I was just trying to tell Clarissa about your coming today.
Where is she?
She just this minute went to the ladies' room.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, come on, Lisa. She asked us over for cocktails tomorrow.
She did?
I've never seen you so excited.
When we ring the bell and Clarissa, or Clarice, opens the door and asks us in, it's going to be like the end of a bad dream for me.
For me, too, but only because of you. I've never seen you so uptight before.
Oh, after I meet her, I'll make it up to you.
Just go back to being your old self.
I promise. Oh.
What's the matter?
I don't know. I suddenly feel dizzy. As if I'm going to faint.
Maybe we shouldn't go any further. We can call and make it for some other...
No way. I'm not going to break this appointment. Let's go. Oh, Barry.
What?
Help me. I'm falling. You promised not to hurt her. The doctor's car drove into the highway a few minutes ago. We should be hearing from him any minute. There. Answer it. Answer it. I don't want him to think we've been sitting right on the phone. Now. Hello?
Clarissa?
Yes, Ray. Where are you?
I'm home. The most incredible thing happened. We were on our way to your house when Lisa suddenly felt faint. As a matter of fact, fainted dead away. Hit her head on a stone.
Oh, I hope it wasn't serious.
The doctor says she'll be okay in a day or so, but... Well, meanwhile, we have to postpone our date.
Oh, what a shame. I was so looking forward to meeting Lisa.
Not half as much as she was.
Remember? You're having tea with me.
Well, that'll depend on how Lisa feels.
I'm so glad Lisa's feeling better. And I'm equally glad you came over for tea.
Would you be very upset if I drank something else? I'm just not much of a tea lover.
Well, you haven't tasted the tea I brew. I promise you, an unforgettable experience.
Oh. Well, if you put it that way.
I do indeed. Oh, needs just a little sugar, but no cream.
Looks awfully strong.
Taste it.
Doesn't smell like any tea I ever drank.
Well, I told you, it's not like any tea you ever drank. Come on now, Ray. Take a swallow and look at me.
I see you.
I mean, in my eyes. Look deeply and drink
deeply.
Yeah, nothing creepy about that there, Ray. Idiot.
Oh, Clarissa. You're...
Yes, Ray. What am I?
Oh, you're truly beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Ray.
Your eyes have a radiance and a shine that I've never seen before. And your lips.
Yes. Yes, my lips.
Yeah.
Would you like to kiss my lips?
Oh, yes. Yes, I would.
Oh.
You're an idiot, Ray.
This is what I wanted since we first met, Ray. To hold you in my arms and hold you forever and ever, and hold your youth and your vitality and feel it make me young again. And do you still find me beautiful, Ray?
Yeah. You've changed. But I can still see your beauty.
Drink some more tea, Ray.
Damn, Ray.
And hold me. Hold me tight and close, that's it. Squeeze me, Ray, and I'll squeeze you. Squeeze the life out of you and into me, and...
You're not Clarissa.
Of course I am. And you're Clarissa. And Lisa's Clarice. And your true love.
No, you're old. You're the old lady Lisa saw.
Hold me.
You...
Hold me, Ray. Hold me tight. The
Help
tighter
me.
you hold me, the more I'll seem like Clarissa. Hold me, Ray. Hold me. And love me for all eternity. Because we're bound together forever.
To all the newly married and about to be married listening, I know of a charming little house for sale. It's a great bargain. The only qualification that's absolutely necessary is that the husband be a young and virile man. However, if you purchase it, you don't have to worry because all of you are strong-minded enough to know that there really aren't any such things as witches. I'll be back shortly. Speaking of witches, as we were, it's of course true that people have always had an ambiguous attitude towards them. In some literature, they're portrayed as fascinating, lovely women with quicksilver qualities who bewitch the males with their charms. In other stories, they appear ugly old bags, spreading evil and polluting everything they touch. Which is the true picture? Could it be, perhaps, that both are true? Think about it. Our cast included Patricia Elliott, Carol Teitel, Ira Lewis, and Dan Acco. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Now, a preview of our next tale.
It was more than a promise. Eddie. It was an oath. Look, Eddie. No, you look, Tom. You look back at a mound of dirt in that prison camp in Korea. You look back and see three guys. We three guys were kneeling next to that mound of dirt because it's Hennessy's grave. Look back and hear us. Hear us swear never to rest. Never to stop. Never to know a moment's peace until we kill Robert Joseph Myers. Eddie. How could we just kill him? How? Simple. Blow his brains out. You live in another world whether you realize it or not. Now you just don't go around killing people.
That there are people who have to be killed, Tom.
You're not in combat. The war's over.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser, and the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg's Special K cereal. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. You're just in time to join me on another journey through that uncharted, limitless, mysterious world of your own imagination. It has been said that a man who tries to please two women satisfies neither and succeeds only in vexing himself. So many men have heard of this most prudent and profitable advice. Indeed, they acknowledge it. They agree with it. They even respect it. Why don't they follow it?
Why are we stopping here, Silas?
Such a lovely night. The sea is so calm. There isn't a soul in sight for miles around.
Oh, yes. It's as if we own the entire world, and we're all alone in it.
Yes. You know, on a night like this, problems seem so far away.
Oh, we have no problems.
We don't. I do.
Oh, what's your problem, darling?
It's not what. It's who.
Well, then, who is your problem?
You.
You are, my dear.
Me? What kind of problem could I possibly be?
A problem I must get rid of.
Silas! Silas! What are you doing? No, Silas, I'll do anything you say. Please don't!
Our mystery drama, Too Many Women Can Kill You, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Sam Dan and stars Larry Haynes. It is sponsored in part by New Sugar-Free Diet 7-Up and Buick Motor Division. I'll be back shortly with Act 1. It was Sigmund Freud, the master himself, who said, "The great question, which I have not been able to answer, despite my 30 years of research into the feminine soul, is, what does a woman want?" Well, such a question may have disturbed the immortal doctor, but not the man you are about to meet. His name is Silas Cunningham. And if you were to ask him, what does a woman want? Silas Cunningham would look at you in all sincerity and say,
well, every woman I've ever met has always wanted me.
And it's evidently true, because there is one woman who wants Silas forever, even after she's dead.
Oh, snap.
Go in with her now, Silas. Is she better, Doctor? No. But Dr. Pearson... Go see her now, while you can.
Silas? Is that you?
Yes, darling.
Oh, I want to tell you.
Please, Georgia, please, save your strength.
I have nothing to save my strength for. Listen to me. I'll be here.
Of course you'll be here. You'll get better.
I'll be here.
after I'm dead.
Darling, I
I'll
don't
be
even...
in this room. In this room. Our room. I love it so much.
Yes, darling.
Oh, no one will see me, but you'll see me.
Yes, dear.
No one will hear me, but you'll hear me. You believe that, don't you? Don't you?
Yes, I believe it.
Oh, darling, we love each other so much. We will not. We refuse to be parted, even by death. Oh, hold my hand.
My darling Julia.
I'll come back to you, Silas. I'll never leave you. I'll never leave you.
Julia. Doctor Pearson. Hello, Marilyn.
I was afraid.
Of what?
I'd be stood
Now,
up.
when did I ever break a date with you, darling?
Why, you're late.
I didn't take the early train to town.
Why not?
Well, I begin each day with a visit to Julia's grave.
Really, Silas?
Yes, I arrive each morning at 9 and sit an hour.
And do what?
Meditate.
You're such a fraud.
Marilyn, darling, how can you say that?
I suppose everyone in the village knows about it.
Oh, yes. The talk of the town seems to be how grief-stricken I am.
You have absolutely no moral.
But it's true, dear. I am grief-stricken.
After the way she drove you crazy? Or was all that just talk? For my benefit?
Oh, Julia was all right, in her way. She made very few demands of me. If it weren't for that occult nonsense she was all wrapped up in, I could have even been happy.
Why is it so important for you to create this appearance of the bereaved and ravaged lover?
Well, when very rich wives die young, certain nasty-minded, suspicious persons may begin to formulate all sorts of evil thoughts.
I understand.
And so for a year or so, there should be a show of decorum.
I still have the apartment.
But there's no reason why we shouldn't enjoy the estate. Boating, tennis, so much to do. Darling, I want you out there.
But doesn't that go against...
No, because you see, I decided to write a book.
Book?
Yes, and I'll need an editorial assistant.
You're going to write a book? About what?
About the occult, the supernatural, the very strong possibilities of communication with the dead.
But you know as well as I do that that's all nonsense.
Please, dear. This book is to be dedicated to the memory of my beloved wife.
Silence.
Now, you have had considerable experience in the publishing field. You were Julia's very best friend. And besides, as far as...
Terminal upgraded. New technologies and recommended tasks available.
All right, Breaker. You've learned how to get Atlantum the fun and easy way with explosives. Now you have to actually do something with it. Our smelters weren't built to burn it, so turning that ore into ingots won't be as simple as iron and copper. Start by threshing it into a powder. You'll also need to start supplying the production terminal with power from accumulators. See that big plug on the side of it? Yeah, a high voltage cable goes right in there with a voltage stepper on the other end. And make sure the stepper is on a floor with a good power network behind it. Try to find some time to explore it, too. You've got more tools now to open some of the doors we've been finding signals for. Places where people might be trapped.
Not playing.
With the dead.
But you know as well as I do that that's all nonsense.
Please, dear. This book is to be dedicated to the memory of my beloved wife.
Silence.
Now, you have had considerable experience in the publishing field. You were Julia's very best friend. And besides, as far as outward appearances go, we shall be impeccably chaperoned.
By whom?
By the redoubtable Mrs. Watson herself. I shall ask her to stay on as housekeeper.
Mrs. Watson.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Hatchet-Face.
My darling, she radiates respectability from every pore.
When do I report for duty?
Saturday. Call when you're ready. I'll have Hastings drive into town and pick you up.
Well, here's to the book.
And, to other things.
Mr. Cunningham, I brought you some nice hot tea. Oh, come now. You must have something. Oh, look, I know how you feel. Everyone knew. It was a real love match, you and that wonderful lady, Mr. Soul. But would Julia Cunningham want you to despair like this?
Thank you, Mrs. Watson. What would I do without you?
Good evening, Silas.
Oh, Dr. Pearson.
You want to fetch me a cup of that tea, Miss Watson?
Yes, Doctor.
Thank you. Mrs. Watson says you don't eat. Thought I'd stop by to see if you're all right.
Oh, I'm fine.
I'm worried about you.
Me?
Your marriage was something special, Silas.
Well, every marriage is special.
You and Julia. No two people ever seem to be more close, more content, more in love.
She was everything to me, Doctor. Everything.
In a marriage like yours, when one partner goes, well, sometimes the other one loses all interest in life. Now, don't let it happen to you, Silas.
Well, I don't care much about anything right now, Doctor.
Get hold of yourself. Don't let your mind wander. Don't shut yourself away. Life must go on. And it can be quite a life for you. She came into all her money last year.
You know, I'd give every penny to bring her back.
Yeah, you would. That's what worries me.
What are you saying, Doctor?
Julia was very much taken with the idea of being able to communicate with the dead.
It was a very sincere belief.
I'm sure you discussed it. Even decided that in the event one of you died, there'd be an attempt at communication from beyond the grave.
Doctor, this is a very personal and private matter between Julia
on?
and me.
I notice you say is instead of was.
I'd rather we don't discuss it.
In those final feverish moments, she talked about it. She said...
I know what she said.
She said her spirit would always be in her room.
Doctor, why do you insist on...
Because it's hokum. Sane, sensible people know these things simply can't happen, period.
Well, don't you worry about it.
I worry because in this world there are all sorts of unscrupulous confidence operators who prey upon vulnerable people. People like you.
Well, I can take care of myself.
Your tray, Dr. Pearson.
Oh. Well, one thing's in your favor. Mrs. Watson's staying on, and she's the most level-headed person I know. Mrs. Watson, can I depend on you to keep Mr. Cunningham here out of trouble?
Yes, Doctor. You can depend on it. And you can depend on me.
Mr. Cunningham.
I've got a beat on him now. Oh, darn, I missed him again. Oh, well. It's too nice a day to hit anything anyhow. I just feel like making some noise in the woods.
Mr. Cunningham.
What is it, Hastings?
I don't know. I gotta talk to you. I mean, I don't know what...
Why don't you start at the beginning, Hastings?
Yes, sir. Look, you know what's just happened to me, Mr. Cunningham?
No. What happened?
Well, I've been fired.
Fired?
Well, how could you be fired?
That's what I can't figure.
Well, who in the world could have fired you, Hastings?
Old Lady Iron Pants. Mrs. Watson.
Well, why?
Well, I don't know. She comes up to me and she says, Hastings, you're finished. Here's your money. Get out of here. Just like that.
Well, I don't understand why.
Well, she figures with Mrs. Cunningham passed away, she can rule the roost, you know what I mean? She's always had it in for me anyhow.
Why, Hastings?
Well, I guess I'd pop off about her.
Pop off? How?
Well, I was only kidding, but it was about sex.
Sex? Oh, come on now, Hastings. Why would anyone talk that way with Mrs. Watson? Why, she must be at least.
Yeah? How old do you think she is?
Well, late 50s, even 60, maybe over.
Next time, take a good look. She ain't even 40 yet. And she's been a widow 18 years.
Oh, well, I'm sure we can adjust the matter.
Well, I told her to go soak her head. I told her, Mr. Cunningham hired me. Therefore, only Mr. Cunningham can fire me. Is that right?
Yes, Hastings. That's right. Now, you go back to the garage. You'll have to go to the city this afternoon.
If I'm to perform my duties in a satisfactory manner, I must have the right to hire and fire Mr. Cunningham.
Yes, of course, Mrs. Watson. It's just that Hastings has been with us for such a long time.
I dismiss him for good cause. He's a thief.
A thief?
I found out. He's been getting together with some of the service places in town. We've been paying bills for repairs that were never made, for gasoline that we never bought.
Oh? Are you sure?
I'm positive. The sooner he's off the premises, the better for all concerned.
Well, it's just that I would want him to drive into the city this afternoon.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I'm expecting a call from Mrs. Ralston.
Marilyn Ralston, of course. She called while you were out shooting.
Oh? Did she say what time she wants to be picked up? If we fire Hastings, I'll drive in myself.
Oh, that won't be necessary, Mr. Cunningham.
What do you mean?
She isn't coming out this afternoon.
Oh, something the matter?
Or any afternoon, for that matter.
Well, why? Did she suddenly change her mind?
No. But I told her that you had changed yours.
What are you
What a
talking
biatch.
about, Mrs. Watson? I never told you I changed
It
mine.
wasn't necessary for you to tell me, sir. I acted in your best interests.
Mrs. Watson, I'm very capable of determining my best interests. And furthermore...
Yes, Mr. Cunningham. What are you staring at?
That bracelet.
Yes, this bracelet.
Well, how dare you, Mrs. Watson? That was my wife's bracelet.
I know.
Well, what right do you have
She
to wear...
told me I could have it. She whispered it to me.
Well, that's a lie.
The day she died.
It isn't true.
The day she died of, what did the good Dr. Pearson say? An infection? Nobody questioned dear Dr. Pearson's diagnosis. How fortunate he signed the death certificate without questioning it himself.
Now, you couldn't prove anything.
Of course not. I couldn't prove anything, but now, if they were to exhume the body and perform certain tests, but they would never do it unless someone suggested it strongly. And as of right now, I don't plan to suggest it.
Well, there you are. You get what you consider to be the perfect setup for the perfect murder. You get rid of a woman who is a thorn in your side, only to discover you've just acquired one who could be a rope around your neck. The rope either gets tightened or loosened when I return shortly with Act 2.
The WBBM News Time, 10:53. Temperature in Chicago, 82 degrees.
On her deathbed, Julia Cunningham promised her husband Silas she would communicate with him from the other world. However, it now develops that Silas may have more trouble than he can handle in this world. It seems that Mrs. Watson, the faithful housekeeper, has discovered that Silas had actually hastened Julia's exit from what is sometimes described as this vale of tears.
Mrs. Watson, what makes you think I would have something to fear from an autopsy?
Isn't it obvious?
Isn't what obvious?
Oh, the situation we find ourselves in. Now, if you didn't fear an autopsy, this bracelet would be off my arm, you'd fire me on the spot, and I would be out on my ear. Now, I know.
Just what do you know?
I know I was right about the bottle of poison.
What bottle of poison?
Oh, come, sir. It was in your room. I made a few discreet inquiries. I learned from a doctor that small, steady doses could produce symptoms which might appear to indicate an intestinal infection, and it would be treated as such until suddenly the patient would die. Incidentally, that doctor was not Dr. Pearson.
And, just how would I be implicated?
Well, if I were to voice my suspicions strenuously enough, and if the coroner should find poison...
Oh, I see. Isn't it your duty as a reputable citizen to, report this?
Oh, yes, it is.
Why haven't you done so?
Well, I could set in motion a chain of events that could place you on a scaffold or in a prison for life. And I asked myself, now, what would be in all this for me?
Well, the satisfaction that you had performed your duty as a responsible citizen of a democracy.
Oh, I've been doing that all my life, and I have very little to show for it.